Today, we're going to talk about the magnetic trap of modern conflict. It's this force that can pull in families, whole communities, even entire countries. We're going to dive into the work of journalist Amanda Ripley to really understand this thing she calls high conflict. I mean, you know that feeling, right? That argument that just goes around and around in circles, where you have this desperate urge to just walk away, but also to stay and get that last word in. It's just exhausting, and it feels like there is absolutely no way out. And this is where Amanda Ripley's idea comes in. She describes it as a spell, this almost magical force that just enchants us. It's that state where you see people in your life, or maybe even yourself, and they seem to just lose their minds over a conflict, thinking about it constantly, day and night. So to really get our heads around how this works, Ripley uses this incredibly powerful and frankly pretty grim metaphor. Let's talk about the idea of the high conflict tar pit. So, believe it or not, right in the middle of Los Angeles, there's this place that's been bubbling up from the earth since the last ice age. And if you don't know what it is, it just kind of looks like a peaceful lake. You can just imagine, for thousands and thousands of years, animals were drawn to what they thought was a watering hole. But after stepping just a few inches into that sticky sludge, even something as massive as a mammoth would become completely, hopelessly stuck. And this is where it gets really diabolical. A predator, let's say a saber-toothed tiger, sees this stuck animal and thinks, aha, easy meal. They go charging in and then they get stuck too. It creates this vicious, escalating cycle, pulling more and more creatures into the pit. That right there is a perfect picture of high conflict. So here's the crucial thing to get. High conflict isn't just a big disagreement. It's a state where the fight itself becomes the entire point. We slip into this us versus them mindset, and the more we struggle, the deeper we sink. And the real tragedy is, we often end up destroying the very things, our relationships, our communities, that we thought we were fighting so hard to protect. Okay, so why? Why are we so vulnerable to this? What is it about our own psychology that just sucks us right into this tar pit? Let's take a look. Now, it is really important to say, not all conflict is bad. Not at all. Good conflict is just friction. It's actually how we make progress, how we get to some kind of understanding. But high conflict, that's a whole different animal. That's a feud, it's all or nothing, and it leads to entrapment and, worse, the dehumanization of the other side. Ripley points to a few key tripwires that just seem to pull us in every time. First, there's binary thinking, our tendency, especially when we're scared, to simplify the whole world into good versus evil. Then you have what she calls conflict entrepreneurs. You know, the people on TV or social media who fan the flames for clicks, for ratings, for votes. And sometimes we only start to question the conflict when we finally hit a saturation point, that rock bottom moment where we just have to ask, is this really worth it? And this brings us to one of my favorite concepts, something we all do. It's called the idiot driver reflex. Think about it. When I cut someone off in traffic, it's because I'm late for a super important meeting. When you cut me off, it's because you're a reckless, selfish jerk. See? We give ourselves a pass based on our circumstances, but we judge others based on their character. And that reflex, it just pours gasoline on the fire. Okay, so we've seen the trap. It's sticky, it's dangerous, but the big question is, how do we get out? The good news is, there is a way. When you're stuck in that tar pit, your vision just collapses. It feels like you only have 3 moves. You can run from a fight, you can go to all-out war and try to humiliate the other side, or you can just give up and go silent. But what if there was a 4th way? A totally counterintuitive path. It's not about winning, and it's not about avoiding either. It's about consciously choosing to engage in a different kind of conflict, a healthy one, where the goal isn't victory, but understanding. Okay, so how do we actually do that? Well, Ripley shares this one technique that she says has literally changed her life, both as a journalist and just as a person. It's a simple idea called looping. Okay, look at this number, 95%. That is how often, according to research,
people feel like they aren't actually being heard in a conversation, 95% of the time. And what happens when people don't feel heard? Well, they get louder, right? They get more extreme. They simplify everything. This is the lock that looping can pick. And the process itself, it sounds almost too simple, but trust me, it is so powerful. Step 1, listen. But don't listen for flaws in their argument. Listen for what's most important to them. Step 2, play that back. Summarize it in your own words. Step 3, and this is absolutely crucial, you have to ask, is that right? Did I miss anything? And you have to mean it. Finally, only when they say, yes, that's exactly it, can you move on. And the effect? Ripley says it's something you can literally see. It's physical. Even if you don't get it right on the first try, just the act of trying to understand is disarming. People's shoulders will literally drop. They become less defensive, more open, just because for maybe the first time in a long time, they feel like someone is genuinely trying to hear them. But here's the thing. Looping isn't just about making the other person feel good. It's a tool. It's like a flashlight that helps you find what the fight is really about, to dig underneath all that surface-level noise. Ripley has a great name for this. She calls it the understory. It's the core human motivation that's driving the whole thing. It's the thing underneath all the facts, the history, and the endless back-and-forth attacks. So think about it, right? You think you're fighting about who left the dishes in the sink, but the understory, that might be about feeling disrespected or unappreciated. A huge political fight over school textbooks might actually be about power and control, or a deep-seated care and concern for kids' futures. If you can name the understory, you can actually address the real problem. It reminds me of this brilliant quote from the famous negotiator William Ury, who said, "There's no winning a marriage." And that simple idea, it just reveals a profound truth about any long-term relationship, whether it's with a spouse or with your fellow citizens. The goal can't be to crush the other side, because at the end of the day, you still have to live with each other. Look, high conflict offers us this really tempting illusion of a simple moral victory. But the real path forward, it lies in the messy, difficult, but ultimately so much more rewarding work of understanding. So the next time you feel that pull, that righteous anger starting to rise, are you going to keep struggling in the pit? Or are you going to pause and listen for the understory?